I gave birth to our children, 18 weeks premature. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing the story of my sons, Lennox and Henry, who passed away at 22 plus 0 weeks gestation. This video is going to include topics like birth and loss. It's going to contain very strong descriptions, so keep that in mind if you keep watching. It is not easy to revisit this chapter, but it does feel important to honor them, to keep their memory alive, and to help others who might be navigating grief and loss. I hope this story will resonate with you and maybe even bring a sense of connection to anyone who is feeling alone in their grief. This story is very hard for me to repeat, so I'm gonna read what I've pre-written and hopefully you'll listen to the entire thing. Let's begin. I gave birth to our children, 18 weeks premature. They were 2 boys, both died. This video is dedicated to our sons. We started our pregnancy journey years ago, but when we first started to try to conceive, I felt pregnant on the first try of insemination. When we found out we were having twins, we were ecstatic. I remember my stomach and jaw dropped. We knew there was a chance because I have a high production of follicles, but it was more a distant dream rather than a chance. But there we were, excited to welcome 2 babies. We were in a special club of twin parents, and we couldn't be happier. Throughout the pregnancy, we were incredibly grateful for what my body had been able to do. Despite a tough first trimester with extreme morning sickness, hyperemesis, and COVID-19, I was in good shape. I was exercising, I was social, I felt life in my belly, and everything was fine at all the checkups. In the first weeks of January, we had told our closest friends and family the gender of the children, and now we were going to announce it to the world. We had set January 15th as a gender reveal day. On Sunday, January 14th, I was at the gym and we had a visit from some friends who helped us pack up the last things we had in the apartment before we started a complete renovation of the apartment the following week, so that everything would be perfect for our 2 children who would arrive in the spring. We had bought a Doppler and decided to listen to the children's heartbeats. Everything sounded completely normal. Towards the evening, I felt my stomach tighten a little, but I had been told that I was to expect Braxton Hicks. I'd also experienced this several times before in my pregnancy. In addition, my hips were tired, my pelvis was a little extra sore, but I've been exercising that day. Of course, I have to expect some pelvic joint pain when you're more than halfway through the pregnancy. That's what I thought. I struggled to find a comfortable resting position, and my discomfort did not improve in the night. I also had a burning sensation over my pubic bone, and I fell asleep for about an hour at a time before waking up in pain again. Lynn, my wife, decided to sleep the rest of the night on the sofa so that we would both have the best chance to get a good night's sleep. I decided for the first time in my pregnancy to Google the symptoms. Google confirmed that these were common symptoms and that I could contact my GP for help with my pain relief. I calmed down about it, and I eventually got so physically tired and frustrated that I just lied down and I cried. It's now Monday, 15th of January. At 4 a.m., Lynn woke up on the sofa to my cries in the bedroom. It's a quiet cry, not hysterical, but little sobs. She went to me and I was tired and upset. Lynn massaged my lower back and tried to get me to think about other things. I said that everything is uncomfortable and that I don't get a break from it. We go out to the sofa so that I can sit up a little. It's just now after 4:30 a.m. and I say that it feels a little like period pain. Lynn suggests that I sit in the shower for a while. Said and done. It helps, and after a while in the hot shower, we go back to the sofa. I feel a little better and I turn on the TV. Lynn lies down in bed, and after about 40 minutes, the pain is back and the shower is calling my name again. Now, I cry more intensively and Lynn calls the emergency room. She explains that I am 22 weeks pregnant, that I've had a tiny bit of bleeding in the last few days, and that I'm now in pain. Lynn agreed with the emergency room that we should go there, and they will see if they can help me with some painkillers. Lynn let the dogs out of his cage to take him for a walk, while she tells me that we're going to the emergency room. I'm sitting in the shower and the tears are flowing down my cheeks at the same time as my pain is getting even worse. And I asked Lynn to call the emergency number to ask for an ambulance. I did not think I would be able to go down to get a taxi to the emergency room. Lynn says that she would help me and that this will go just fine. Lynn has told me later that her biggest guilt afterwards is that she didn't understand what was about to happen. It is now 6:30 a.m. and everything is happening very fast. Suddenly, I get a strong, uncontrollable twitch in my hips. It reminds me of a massive kink in my back, or as if I've been taken straight from a scene in the movie The Exorcist. I then let out a small fart, and I feel kind of a relief. I just have to go to the bathroom, I think, and I relax a little bit. It is 6:36 a.m. I decide to take a selfie. I have to remember this. What a strange experience is what's going through my head as I pull myself up to sit on the toilet. There, I relieve myself and I imagine that's what I needed. I was probably constipated. But something comes out that I recognize, and in horror, I put my hand down and I take it back out to look. It's full of blood. It's 6:38 a.m. I scream at Lynn, "There's blood coming, I'm bleeding, call the emergency number," while I instinctively get up to get some control over what is coming to the toilet. I bring my hand back down to my crotch to see if I'm still bleeding, but I feel something new. It's a head coming out. I scream in disbelief, "No, no, no!" It's 6:39 a.m. My options are flying through my head. How can I stop this? Can I get him back in? Am I giving birth now? At home? He must be dead. Why is he coming out now? I stand hunched over in the bathroom, leaning against the washing machine and putting both hands down. He's coming. It's 6:40 a.m. I'm giving birth to twin one in our bathroom in the middle of central Oslo, and I deliver him into my own hands. I'm expecting a dead blue baby, but I quickly feel and see that he is born in an intact amniotic sac. He slides back and forth a little in my hands and I'm terrified of losing him. I want to get him out, do what I can to help him. I tear open the amniotic sac and I sit down to get control and lay him on my stomach. He's so incredibly small, but he moves, makes noises, and spits out amniotic fluid. He's alive. I'm told by the emergency services to put my legs up, to keep twin two inside using gravity. The ambulance personnel arrived a short time later, about 10 minutes after we called. They meet Lynn and I, who they describe as very calm under the circumstances. They take vital measurements of me, completely normal. At the same time, they try to stimulate our boy to get signs of life from him since he has stopped moving now. The ambulance personnel ask if I have seen signs of life, which I confirm. They decide to cut his umbilical cord and work separately with him on our washing machine, while they're going to take me to the hospital to get help with our other son who is still in the womb and to take care of my health. They lift me into a sleeping bag-like bag, and I'm carried out to the ambulance by what has suddenly become many people. I'm in shock, scared, naked with an umbilical cord between my legs. There's a snowstorm outside. I ask the ambulance worker if he believes in God. He doesn't. That's a shame, I say. It would be nice if someone here did now. Today, the entrances to the hospital are being changed, so it takes a few extra seconds to figure out where they are. I'm asked if I'm having contractions. I don't know. Then I probably wouldn't be in the situation I'm in now. But I confirm that I'm having cramps. I'm told to try to squeeze my legs together. That's the only thing I do, besides crying. Meanwhile, it feels like there are 20 people in our apartment. Lynn saw 6 people carrying me out. Some of them came back. There are 2 or 3 of them working on twin one on the washing machine in the bathroom. Lynn constantly reassures herself with the medics standing in the hall that the doctor is not going to give up on our son. But their eyes are gloomy, and hope is beginning to leave them all. At the same time, Lynn was trying to pack a bag. What should she be taking with her? How long will we be gone? Chargers, a little clothing for me, put the dog back in the cage. Suddenly they start discussing how much of some medicine to give him. They also confer with someone on the phone. At the same time as this is happening, the anesthesiologists arrive from the air ambulance. He has experience with this small children from before and takes over. He intubates again and gives him medicine so that the lungs can function. They also have an incubator with them, which they have heated up on the way. Immediately after the anesthesiologist has taken over, everyone becomes more hopeful as there are big signs of life. Twin one rides in an ambulance and Lynn got to ride in another. On the way, she called my parents and tell them what's happened, and they throw themselves around to get to the hospital. They can't drive because the snowstorm is so bad. Once Lynn arrives, she got to walk beside Twin one, and in the lift into the NICU, she also gets to get close to him and feel him. Suddenly, I'm in a delivery room. A new team takes over. The paramedics wish me luck, and I thank them for their help. I think they'll fix this now. The midwives put a needle in my hand, and I think it's super painful. A gynecologist looks up between my legs and wishes me a good morning. She examines me with an ultrasound that sees that Twin 2 is doing well. She then checks how dilated I am, while I urge her to stop the labor. I know very well that they are too small. They should be in there a little longer, and one is still in. It won't work. You're fully dilated. The baby will come anyway, she tells me. A wave of anger and more shock sweeps over me as I lie with my legs in the air. I decide that I can't give birth lying down on an uphill slope anyway. They offer me pain relief in the form of morphine, but I refuse, in fear of harming the baby. Now I'm on all fours, and I'm having some severe cramps. It almost seems like it hurts more because I know what's happening now. I get another kink in my back. Another scene from The Exorcist plays out, and I change my mind about the pain relief. At 7:38 a.m., I get morphine put in my buttocks. I find that even more painful than the cramps, so I relax the rest of my body a little. And with that, Twin 2's birth begins. He comes in 2 contractions. Legs first, breech. It's 7:40, and it's been exactly an hour since I gave birth to his big brother. I also welcome him in my own hands, and once outside, I turn and lie on my back and hand him to the team who quickly cut the umbilical cord and take him with them. I've given birth in more ways in an hour than many do in a lifetime. Home birth, normal birth, one in an intact amniotic sac, hospital birth, breech precision. I've delivered them alone and all without pain relief. When everyone is out of the room, the morphine starts to work. Once Lynn came to the maternity ward, they showed her to my delivery room. I lie there huddled together in a fetal position. My eyes completely blank. When I saw Lynn, I said, I give birth to Twin 2. And then I burst into tears and apologized. We both cry in each other's arms, and Lynn tells me that Twin 1 is alive and that the doctors have hope for him. Soon after, the midwife and gynecologist comes in, and they now will help me birth the placentas. I'm putting my bravest, toughest face on to deliver the 2 placentas. Lynn goes over to see Twin 2. It's quick, and she barely gets to see him while several doctors work around him. But Lynn gets the good news that he also shows a great will to live, and that they will give him a chance. Lynn comes back to me and tells me the hopeful news. I then ask the gynecologist if I can have a look at the placenta. I can. Both the gynecologist, midwife, and I react that they do not look completely healthy. Lynn has never seen one and hasn't reflected on how they're supposed to look at all before they're taken away. Lynn and I are alone again, and we pick up the phone and called Eva, who was supposed to be our birth photographer, and Lynn's parents. Throughout the pregnancy, Lynn and I have agreed that our children should have the best possible start in life, and if something were to happen, that we should always choose what is best for them. Just before 10:30 a.m., we get to talk to the twins' doctor for the first time. He explains the prognosis and common procedures for such premature births. It feels like he's talking in extreme slow motion and time almost stands still. He's careful to explain that being born at a gestational age of 22 weeks is too early. Usually, they wouldn't treat children until a week later. Being born now involves great risks and consequences that almost always entail. However, he also explains that both our boys are strong and have clearly shown a will to live. We learned that the first 3 days are the highest risk, when brain hemorrhages often occur, which can be fatal. He says that even though it's the doctors who have the final say in treating the children, they place a great weight on the parents' wishes in the cases that we now are in. We ask him to do everything he can for them, but also emphasize that they should not live for us. The doctor looks us in the eye, nods in understanding, and rushes out to our sons again. My parents arrive. Around 12 o'clock, we get to go to the NICU unit and we get to see our boys. They have a tube that goes into their nose and tape on their faces. There are several tubes that come out from their navel and EKG on their chests. All these tubes and wires lead to different machines that rhythmically make sounds. They've also been given diapers, the smallest available, which are still too big. They're both absolutely perfect and so beautiful despite the tubes and machines. And they look peaceful where they lay in their respective incubators. They both have their own team of doctors and nurses who monitor all their values every second. Twin 1 weighs exactly 500 grams, and little brother is a little smaller with his 445 grams. Together with my parents, Lynn leaves the hospital. It's negative 18 degrees Celsius, and she doesn't have a jacket. They take the tram, then the bus, and finally they're home. Our bathroom looks like an abandoned battlefield. Lynn closes the door there and lets the dog out of his cage. He immediately goes to the bathroom and paces anxiously back and forth outside the door. My parents take him with them and head home. Lynn packs another bag with everything she forgot before, makes a couple of calls, and hopefully tells people about what happened. On the way back, she goes to a deli. She had promised me that I would get Iberico ham and cheese at the maternity ward, and that promise feels incredibly important to Lynn in this moment. She wants to show me how proud and impressed she is. When Lynn is away, I try to organize as best as I can. I call and text my loved ones to let them know that they have arrived and they are alive, and I invite my best friend to come see them, just in case. I cry, call my insurance company, which were no help. I cancel my pregnancy yoga that day, take pictures of the view from our room, and screenshot a lot of my pregnancy apps and my phone to remember absolutely everything from this day. I'm told to start pumping to get colostrum out of my breasts. It's good for premature babies in case they survive. We'll look at some cuddly toys that we thought they would like. We have hope. Back at the hospital, Eva has arrived. We spend most of the afternoon and evening next to our twins. Between visits to them, Lynn reads up on everything that she can come across about extremely premature birth and shares everything she finds hopeful about to me. I go through all the insurances and want to make sure we have everything in order. We don't. We want and believe that this will go well. We don't sleep much that night. On Tuesday, 16th of January, we have previously planned an inspection with our contractors. We're going to renovate the entire apartment to make it the best possible for us and our twins. The situation is stable for both twins, and Lynn goes back to the apartment early. First, she cleans the bathroom so that others don't have to see what it looked like. My dad meets Lynn there, and thank God for that. Lynn's mind was somewhere else, and she couldn't have coped without him. When they were going back to the hospital, I sent Lynn a Snapchat. Twin 1 is having trouble taking up oxygen. Lynn thinks that this is one of our many upcoming obstacles on the road, but that our guys are strong and they're in the best hands. When she gets back to the hospital, I'm on the verge of panic and we ask for someone to talk to. We get a visit from the hospital priest, and in conversation with him, we agree that we want to baptize Twin 1, just in case. Although Tuesday started out hopeful, it suddenly became critical for Twin 1. He was struggling with his blood pressure and oxygen intake. The doctor says that he thinks he's bleeding. They take an x-ray of his lungs and an ultrasound of his head. They find large hemorrhages on both sides of his brain. This is the first time we've been invited into what is called the quiet room. Lynn and I, my parents, and the key people from Twin One's team are present. The doctors explain in many more words than this. The condition cannot be fixed. He cannot be saved. And he wants to give Twin One the opportunity to die in calm surroundings, safely placed on my chest. We are in disbelief. Even with all the information we had, even with all the preparation we had made beforehand, and even with the rational part of us in the back of our minds, we decide that we also want him to be with us, perhaps with a small hope that skin contact will miraculously save him. Lynn is so full of hope that she almost bursts. It's impossible for her to take in all the information we get from the doctor. Our son will survive. He will be the one who goes against the statistics and will come out of this healthy and strong. She is convinced the time on my chest and our love and care will help. We decide to take him out of the incubator and put him on my chest, where he lies for just over an hour. And it helps there and then. He stabilizes, and the nurses tell us that he's better than he has ever been. We sing to him, kiss him on the forehead, and he holds our fingers and squeezes them hard. Both my parents and Lynn's sister are there, and fantastic Eva. But for us, only we and our son exists. But the bleeding in his head is a fact. It is not possible to reverse, and in the end, Lynn too has to accept what we are told. The priest is called for an emergency baptism. He arrives so quickly that we have just time to prepare, and he is baptized and given the name Lennox just after 8 p.m. on Tuesday evening. Then we are taken to the quiet room again with Lennox. There, his team removes all the wires and devices, and his heart stops beating while we sing Slipping Through My Fingers by ABBA to him. It's 8:44 p.m. Both we and the team are crying. All he's known his whole life was love, and there is something beautiful about that. But we have also lost our firstborn, our one son. We are devastated. It is freezing cold and blizzarding outside, which reflects how we feel. However, little brother is still stable, and amidst the grief, there is hope for him. A couple of hours after Lennox has died, I am away in our maternity room brushing my teeth. Lynn is with Twin 2, and his team is getting worried. They say that he also has difficulty taking up oxygen and that they have to get a blood test. Lynn comes to the room, and we get ready to get some sleep. We will spend the night in the quiet room with Lennox tonight. The doctor comes into us. She looks worried, and we recognize the words coming all too well. She explains that the situation is critical, but that they will take more tests and continue to provide treatment. We ask her to wake us if anything happens during the night. It is now after midnight, and we cry ourselves to sleep. At 4 a.m. on Wednesday, 17th of January, we were woken up. They have taken an ultrasound on the little brother's head, and he is also bleeding in both halves of the brain and in the lungs. It is no longer right to give Twin 2 treatment, and they advise us to let him also have a peaceful farewell. They call the priest, who arrives in what is the worst snowstorm also has experienced in a long time. At 5 a.m., we name Twin 2 Henry. They set up a bed for us next to Henry's incubator, and they put him on my chest. We lie there for almost 5 hours and sleep together for a while. Henry is also stabilizing, but we know that he does not have a chance of a dignified life. We give all our love to our beautiful little boy. Together, we decide that now Henry will be allowed to move on. They disconnect the machines, and at 10:40 a.m., Henry takes his last breath with us while we sing Slipping Through My Fingers, just like we did for his big brother the night before. In the longest and shortest hours of our lives, we have gained 2 healthy but premature boys, and we have also lost them forever. That wasn't how it was supposed to be. How can I, who have had a relatively good pregnancy, just give birth so suddenly? We decide to share this on our social media to show that this is a part of life, but also in the hope that we would not be alone in the greatest sorrow we had ever experienced. The post received a massive response and reached over 500,000 people in a short time. From this, we have received many messages from others who have experienced the same or similar, and we are very grateful to everyone who has reached out to us and shared of themselves, but also to those of you who have shown infinite love. So what do you do when a child dies? And what is the way forward through the grief and until you have other children? We will try to find that out together with you. Finally, we would like to extend a special thank you to the ambulance service in Oslo and the NICU at the Rikshospitalet. To Lennox and Henry, we love and miss you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Lennox and Henry's story. If you've experienced loss like this, I would really like to hear from you in the comments. Your support means the world to me. So let's continue to create a space of compassion, understanding, and love for everyone navigating their own journey. And if you think this video might help someone else, please share it with them. Sharing can make the weight of grief a little easier to carry. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.